My ex cheated while I supported her entire life. So I vanished silently and took everything she owned, leaving her begging for the life she abused. I'm a 29-year-old guy, and for most of my adult life, I believed taking care of the people I loved was my purpose. Maybe it came from being raised by a single mom who worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3, just to make sure I never went to bed hungry. I grew up watching her hold the entire world together with cracked hands and a tired smile. And somewhere along the line, I convinced myself that love meant carrying the weight for everyone else. That mindset is exactly how Sophia walked into my life. She had this effortless charm, the kind that made people turn their heads without understanding why. Beautiful, sharp-witted, warm, in a way that felt instantly familiar. She told me she came from a broken home. No real support system, no emotional safety, no stability. The way her voice shook when she talked about it made something in me break. I wanted to be her safe place. I wanted to be the stability she never had. Before I realized it, I was paying most of our rent, until she got back on her feet. Then it became groceries, then her phone bill, then her last semester of school after she said, "I just need one person to believe in me." I'd work full-time at my day job, then grab overnight shifts whenever I could just to keep us afloat. And I didn't complain, not once. I told myself that real men provide, and if I didn't show up for her, who would? I drove her everywhere because she said buses made her anxious. I handled every little detail because she said thinking about responsibilities gave her panic attacks. It felt good at first, being needed, being important, being the person she depended on. But then, little cracks started to appear. Sophia began keeping her phone face down around me. She'd slip into the hallway to take certain calls, and she suddenly started claiming she needed personal time to decompress at night, even though she never mentioned needing that before. And that's when things started feeling wrong. I'm not sure exactly when things started to tilt, but it felt like waking up one day and realizing the ground under my feet wasn't solid anymore. At first, the changes were subtle. Little comments, small shifts in tone, moments I brushed off because I thought relationships just had phases. But looking back, those were the warning signs I chose to ignore. Sophia started pulling away from me in ways I didn't understand. I'd come home after a 14-hour day, exhausted and smelling like grease from my second job, and she'd barely look up from her phone. "Long day," I'd say, dropping my bag by the door. "Mm-hmm," she'd mumble without glancing away. "Can you grab dinner? I'm too drained to cook." Drained from what? I never asked. I just did it. Slowly, chores became my responsibility. Dishes, laundry, cleaning, everything. Because she started saying things like, "You're better at it," or "My anxiety gets worse when I feel pressured." I didn't want to be the reason she spiraled, so I took on more. It felt natural at first, until it didn't. Then came the comparisons. "Why don't you take me places like Maya's boyfriend does?" "You never surprise me with gifts. Other couples do cute things." "You should be more romantic. I feel like I'm giving so much." Every time, I swallowed the sting. I was juggling 2 jobs, paying almost all our bills, and still trying to keep her happy, but somehow, I was always falling short. My friends started noticing the difference too. One of them pulled me aside and whispered, "Man, she's got you running in circles. You sure she appreciates you?" I laughed it off, but the comment stuck with me longer than I expected. And then came the secrecy. Not loud, not obvious, but sharp. Sophia kept her screen dimmed. She angled it away when I walked by. She changed her lock screen password and told me, "It's just for privacy." When I asked, "Privacy from who?" she sighed, like I was exhausting her. But the moment that really hit me, one night, I heard her on the phone whispering, "I just feel stuck. You don't get it. Stuck because of me?" And that single word lodged itself in my chest like a splinter I couldn't pull out. I tried telling myself I was overthinking things. Stress makes your mind twist shadows into shapes, right? But the truth is, suspicion doesn't grow out of nowhere. It grows from patterns. And the patterns were starting to scare me. It started with our bank account. One morning, while paying bills, I noticed a string of rideshare charges, late at night, to parts of the city Sophia never mentioned visiting. Neighborhoods far from her campus, far from her job, far from anywhere she had ever said she'd been. When she came into the kitchen, I tried to sound casual. "Hey, did you need to take a bunch of rides last week?" She froze, just for a second. "Why are you going through my stuff?" "It's our joint account," I said gently. "I just wasn't sure." "I told you," she snapped. "Those were errands. Why does everything need to be an interrogation with you? Errands, at 11:40 p.m. and 1:15 a.m. But I let it go, because every time I pushed even a little, she treated me like the villain. Then she started talking about a new coworker, Ethan. He's just cool, she said. Easy to talk to, not uptight. I asked what that meant, and she shrugged. You get stressed too easily. Ethan helps me decompress. I didn't want to be jealous, but I noticed the way she dressed for work changed overnight. She wore makeup on weekdays now, nicer clothes, perfume she hadn't touched in months. Whenever I teased her about looking fancy for a Tuesday, she'd roll her eyes and say, I'm trying to feel confident. Why is that a problem? The truth hit harder when a friend texted me late one evening. Bro, is this Sophia? Attached was a blurry picture of her at a bar, sitting close to some guy who looked exactly like the Ethan she'd described. Too close to be just coworkers. My stomach dropped. My hands went cold. But instead of confronting her, I stared at that picture for hours, wondering if I already knew the answer. And the worst part? I still wanted to believe I was wrong. By the time I finally worked up the nerve to bring up the bar photo, I'd rehearsed the conversation in my head 100 times. Calm, steady, reasonable. I wasn't coming at her with accusations. I just wanted clarity, honesty, something to hold on to. But the moment I showed her the picture, everything detonated. What the hell is this? She snapped, pushing the phone away like it burned her skin. Someone sent it to me. I thought maybe. You thought what? That I'm cheating? That I'm some kind of disgusting liar? Her voice kept rising, sharp and hysterical, until it felt like she was trying to drown me in noise. I tried to stay calm. I didn't say that, Sophia. I just wanted to understand. Understand what? She shot back. That you're turning into some jealous psycho who tracks my every move? I wasn't tracking anything. I wasn't accusing her. I was just scared. But she twisted every word into something ugly, something controlling, something monstrous. And the more she escalated, the smaller I felt. You know what? She said finally, crossing her arms. This is exactly why Ethan is easier to talk to. At least he doesn't suffocate me. That hit harder than I expected. So I asked quietly, do you talk to him about us? Her glare was ice. Why wouldn't I? You make me feel unheard. He listens. You should appreciate that someone is helping me instead of attacking me. It wasn't just the gaslighting. It was the way she made her emotional betrayal seem like my fault. Over the next few days, things only got worse. She insisted she needed financial breathing room, so I covered more bills. She said chores triggered her anxiety, so I took on everything. She blamed her moods on me, her stress on me, her distance on me. And then, I found the hotel receipt, folded in her purse, shoved between lip gloss and gum. A 2-night stay. On a weekend, she told me she was too exhausted to do anything. I felt something inside me crack at the edges, but I still wasn't ready for the truths that were coming next. I didn't ask her about the hotel receipt. I couldn't. Something deep in my gut told me the truth would hurt more coming from her lips than anything I could piece together myself. So instead, I took the next day off work and decided, quietly, shakily, to find out on my own. The hotel wasn't far. A business-style place with tinted glass windows and a lobby that smelled like stale lemon cleaner. I stood at the reception desk, palms sweating, trying to sound casual. Hi, my girlfriend stayed here recently. I think she might have left something in the room. Sophia Rivera? The receptionist typed for a moment, then looked up. Oh yes, 2-person suite, lovely room. 2-person suite. The words hit like a fist. Did she check out alone? I asked. My voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. The woman frowned slightly. I'm not allowed to share guest details, sir. Which was an answer in itself. I thanked her and walked out, but I didn't go home. I sat in my car, engine off, heart pounding, staring at the sliding doors like they held the last pieces of a puzzle I didn't want to solve. I waited. Minutes, then hours. My legs were numb. My throat felt tight. But I waited anyway. Then, around 3 p.m., the doors opened. And there she was. Sophia, wearing the same outfit she'd left the house in 2 days earlier, laughing, her hair messy in a way I'd never seen, and walking right beside her, brushing her arm with a familiarity that made my stomach flip, was Ethan. He reached out and tucked a strand of her hair behind her ear. She nudged him playfully. They looked like a couple, a comfortable, effortless couple. like we used to be, before everything twisted. I didn't get out. I didn't yell. I didn't confront them. I just picked up my phone and quietly snapped pictures. Hands shaking but focused. Proof. Cold, undeniable proof. And as they drove off together, my hands went numb. My world narrowed. Everything I thought I'd been building suddenly felt like sand slipping through my fingers. But the part that gutted me the most, I realized she wasn't even trying to hide anymore. Sophia came home that night humming under her breath, tossing her bag on the couch like she hadn't just spent 2 days in a hotel with another man. I heard her before I saw her. The sharp sound of her keys jingling, the faint smell of hotel shampoo clinging to her clothes. My chest tightened, but I forced myself to stay still, sitting at the kitchen table with my hands clasped so tightly my knuckles were white. "Hey," she said casually, grabbing a bottle of water. "You're home early." "Yeah," I managed. "Slow day." She didn't notice the strain in my voice. Or maybe she did. Maybe she just didn't care anymore. "How was your weekend?" I asked. It felt like swallowing glass. She shrugged. "Tiring. I told you I needed space. You know how I get when life feels overwhelming." That word, space, echoed in my head. I pictured Ethan's hand brushing against hers. The easy closeness, the laughter, that hotel suite. "Sophia," I said quietly, "are you sure everything is okay between us?" She froze for just a moment, then turned to me with a look of exhausted annoyance, like I was a child interrupting her. "Oh my God, are we doing this again? I swear, your insecurity is out of control." "It's not insecurity," I said. "It's something feels different." She scoffed. "You're imagining problems. Honestly, it's getting suffocating. I can't be responsible for your emotional issues." My emotional issues. Right. She walked past me, phone already in her hand, screen lighting up with a message preview. She tilted it away, but not fast enough. I caught a glimpse of Ethan's name, a heart emoji. My throat tightened. "Who are you talking to?" I asked. She spun around. "Why are you monitoring me? This is why I need breaks from you." And then, like fate wanted to strip the last layer of denial from my eyes, I heard it, from the hallway, her voice, laughing softly on her phone. "I know, baby. I'll tell him soon. I just need him to cover a few more bills." Something inside me snapped so quietly, it almost felt gentle. I stood there in that dim apartment, listening to the woman I loved refer to me as nothing more than a financial inconvenience. And for the first time, I knew I had to leave. But not yet. Not like this. Not without a plan. I didn't walk out that night. Maybe I should have. Maybe any sane person would have. But when betrayal cuts deep enough, clarity comes in waves, not all at once. And in that clarity, something inside me shifted. I wasn't going to scream, or beg, or confront her. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of watching me break. I was going to disappear on my terms. Over the next few days, I moved like a ghost inside my own life. I woke up early, left for work on time, smiled when Sophia talked, pretended I didn't hear her late-night whispers to Ethan. But every spare second became part of a plan I kept locked inside my chest. I started with the basics: my bank accounts, password changes, a new debit card sent to my job instead of the apartment. I pulled out documents, birth certificate, passport, old pay stubs, and hid them inside a backpack I kept at my friend Marco's place. Sophia didn't notice, or maybe she didn't care. One afternoon, while she was in the shower, I checked something I'd always trusted her with: my credit statements. My hand shook as I opened the app. There it was, a loan, $9,000, taken out 6 months earlier, under my name, my signature, but not my handwriting. My stomach dropped hard enough to knock the air from my lungs. I stared at the screen, willing it to be a mistake, a glitch, anything other than what it was, proof that her betrayal went far beyond emotional. And that's when I realized Ethan wasn't the only secret she was keeping. The next day, I sat in a lawyer's office. I told him everything. Every bill in my name, every shared account, every forged signature, every photo, every receipt, every message. He didn't react with shock. He reacted with strategy. "You have more leverage than you think," he said. "Document everything. Do not confront her. And when you leave, leave clean." Walking out of that office felt like walking out of my old life. And as I stepped onto the street, a new thought settled in my mind. Cold, steady, unshakable. She thought she was using me. She had no idea I was already gone. I thought I had already seen the worst of it. I thought the hotel, the lies, the loan, everything I'd uncovered was rock bottom. But pain has layers you don't discover until you peel back the last piece of hope. And I still had some hope left, even if it was hanging by a thread. That thread snapped the night I found her old phone in the back of the closet. It was an older model she'd claimed was dead months ago. I only grabbed it because I planned to wipe it and sell it for extra cash before leaving. But when I plugged it in, the screen lit up instantly. No password, no locks, just everything she thought she'd hidden. The messages were stacked like landmines. The first explosion came fast. A text to her friend. I can't wait to move in with Ethan. I just need my name to cover my tuition one more semester. He's too gullible to question it. I reread it 3 times, feeling my stomach twist so hard I had to sit down. My throat burned. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Then another. He thinks I love him. I don't even respect him. He's boring, predictable, a provider. A provider, not a partner, not someone she cared about, just a wallet with a heartbeat. But the message that broke me, truly broke me, was the one she sent Ethan. Don't worry, baby. I'll be out soon. He can take care of the bills until then. It's the least he owes me after everything I've put up with. Owes her? For what? For loving her? For giving her a home? For bleeding myself dry to make her life easier? I don't remember how long I sat there on the bedroom floor, staring at that screen. The silence in the apartment felt suffocating, like it was pressing its hands against my chest. My heartbeat sounded like a drum trying to escape my ribs. This was my rock bottom. Not the cheating, not the lies, not even the loan. It was realizing she never once saw me as a human being, just a resource, a stepping stone. And as that truth settled into my bones, cold and heavy, something inside me hardened. I wasn't going to crawl out of this. I was going to rise, quietly, deliberately. And when I did, she wouldn't even hear the door closing behind me. After the messages, something inside me went still, like a lake after the last ripple fades. No more denial, no more bargaining, no more hoping she'd suddenly realize what she'd done. Everything I needed to know was already in front of me. I just had to move. And so, the vanishing began. I opened a new bank account on my lunch break, using a small credit union Sophia didn't even know existed. I rerouted my paycheck. I switched my email recovery settings. Every move was small, quiet, invisible, like undoing a knot one thread at a time. At home, I became the perfect ghost. She'd talk about her day, and I'd nod. She'd kiss my cheek, and I'd smile. She'd text Ethan from the bathroom, and I'd pretend not to notice. Inside, I was already halfway gone. Every night after she fell asleep, I'd gather my essentials. Not clothes, not furniture, not anything she might notice missing. Just the things that made me me. Documents, childhood pictures, my laptop, a few books, and the watch my mom gave me before she passed. I packed them into a backpack and drove them to Marco's place, 2 loads at a time. Bro, you okay? He asked once. No, I said honestly, but I will be. Then came the safety net. I set up alerts on my credit for any new activity. I changed passwords on accounts she never should have had access to. I printed copies of every message and receipt my lawyer told me to keep. The timing mattered. I needed one window, one clean break. So I waited for the weekend she had planned a self-care retreat. She told me she'd be gone Friday to Sunday, to recharge emotionally. I already knew she'd be with Ethan. I didn't care. That Friday morning, she kissed my cheek and said, "Don't miss me too much." I simply nodded. The moment her car disappeared around the corner, I exhaled. Long, shaky, freeing. Then I walked into the apartment we'd shared, looked around at the life I'd built for us, and realized I didn't want a single piece of it. I picked up my keys, turned off the lights, and walked out without looking back. By the time she returned, I would be gone in every way that mattered. The moment the door closed behind me, the plan shifted from preparation to execution. Everything I'd set up over the past weeks was about to snap perfectly into place, quietly, legally, and without a single warning shot. If Sophia wanted to treat me like a walking wallet, then fine. I was about to shut the bank. The first stop was the leasing office. The apartment was in my name, only mine. Sophia had never bothered to add herself to the lease because she always said, paperwork stresses her out. I told the landlord I'd be terminating the contract at the end of the month. He nodded, slid a form across the desk, and just like that, her roof disappeared. Next came the utilities, all in my name, all easy to shut off. I called one by one. Internet, cancel after the weekend. Electricity, terminate first thing Monday morning. Water, same date. Then came the big one, the car, the one she drove daily, the one she told everyone her amazing boyfriend bought for her, the one she never once made a single payment on. I walked into the dealership with my paperwork in hand. My vehicle is being used without my authorization, I said calmly. I'd like to reclaim it. Because the loan, registration, title, and insurance were all under my name, the process was quick. The dealership arranged for the car to be picked up from the apartment parking lot. By evening, it was gone, towed, secured, and off her radar. Her phone plan, also in my name. I suspended the line with one click. Her school tuition autopay, canceled. Every account she piggybacked on, Netflix, Spotify, Amazon, signed out. Passwords changed, recovery emails replaced. It was like vacuuming her out of my digital life one platform at a time. And once everything was done, I sat in my friend's spare room and stared at the final step. Blocking her number. It felt strangely peaceful, like hitting mute on a nightmare. And as I pressed block, her calls, her messages, her access to anything connected to me vanished, just like I had. By the time she came home on Sunday, her world would be unrecognizable, and I'd never have to hear her voice again. Sophia came back on Sunday evening, later than she promised, still wearing the same outfit she'd left in, makeup smudged, hair tangled from whatever self-care retreat she'd actually gone on. I wasn't there to see it, but I can imagine the exact moment it hit her. First, the front door, the emptiness, the missing documents, the shelves that looked lighter. Then her phone, dead signal, no service. Then the Wi-Fi, disconnected. Then the lights, not turning on because the electricity had already been scheduled to shut off the next morning. It didn't take long for my email notifications to start blowing up. The subject line of the first one, "Where are you? This isn't funny." I didn't open it. The second, "Did you change the Wi-Fi password? Stop being petty." By the fifth, the tone cracked. "The car's gone. What did you do? I need it for work." Later that night, the email shifted again, anger dissolving into panic. "Why isn't my phone working? Why can't I log into anything? Please answer me. I don't know what's happening." Reading them was surreal. For once, she was the one grasping for control, while everything slipped through her fingers. For once, she was the one drowning. Then came the real collapse. A voice note, static-filled, shaky, recorded in a dark room where she must have felt the walls closing in. Her voice cracked as soon as she started speaking. "I don't know what I did to deserve this. Just talk to me, please. I'm scared." Scared. The same woman who mocked my long hours, who laughed about using me for bills, who whispered to Ethan that she'd leave once I paid her last semester. Now sounding like a child lost in a store, begging for someone to find her. More messages followed, longer, more desperate each time. "I need you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean any of it. Please, I just want my life back." And in a bitter, quiet way, she was right. She did want her life back, the life I had built, the life she drained, the life she thought she was entitled to. But that life didn't exist anymore, because I had taken it with me when I walked away. And she still had no idea that the worst consequence was yet to hit her. By the time her last message came in, a shaky, breathless whisper saying, "Please, I don't know how to fix this," I felt nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction. Just a quiet, settled clarity, like my mind had finally unclenched after years of holding everything together alone. I moved into my new apartment that week. It wasn't fancy. The walls were plain, the furniture mismatched, the hallway smelled like old paint. But it was mine, every inch of it. No tension, no silent accusations, no pretending. Just a small, clean space where my thoughts didn't feel like they were suffocating me. Marco helped me carry in the last box. "You sure you're good?" he asked, leaning against the frame. "Yeah," I said, and for the first time in a long time, I meant it. Therapy came next, not because I felt broken, but because I finally understood how deeply I'd ignored myself. I told the therapist everything, from my mom's sacrifices to Sophia's manipulations, to the version of love I thought I deserved. She listened, nodded, didn't judge, didn't blame. She helped me untangle the knots I'd been taught to accept as normal. A few days later, I heard through a friend what happened after I left. Ethan bailed, completely. The moment he realized Sophia had no car, no apartment, No money, no support. He vanished like he'd never existed. She had to move back in with distant relatives, working part-time at a job she hated, trying to rebuild from scratch. People whispered. Some pitied her, some snickered, but none of it concerned me anymore. One afternoon, I opened the folder on my laptop, the one filled with photos, receipts, messages, and proof of everything she'd done. I hovered over it for a moment, then pressed delete. Not for her, for me. Because keeping the evidence felt like holding onto a version of myself I no longer wanted to be. As the trash bin emptied, the silence in my apartment felt different, lighter, almost warm. The truth was simple. She didn't lose me the day I walked out. She lost me the moment she decided my love was disposable, and walking away without a word. That was the quiet revenge she never saw coming.